Been a while since we've had two in a row. Welcome in to the BNVR Avalanche postgame show presented by Bet365. We got Biggie and Rudo coming to you live. The Avs defeat the Philadelphia Flyers 2-0. Who knew the solution to winning two in a row wasn't scoring more goals? It was just not giving up any goals.
I love it. I love the way they protected the house the last couple of games. And when they didn't, because, again, we talk about it, it's the National Hockey League, so there's two teams on the ice. And when they did, and then they had a few chances, well, Blackwood was there. And, he was exactly what he was supposed to be. We talked about it. He didn't like the way the last 5-6 games, whatever, went before that, where the pucks found their way in. For whatever reason, I'm not saying he was bad. I'm saying he wasn't going to keep that 970 or whatever 960 save percentage. But hey, might as well come back with 1,000, over 2 games. So there you go. But a good team effort. I thought they were really good at limiting the chances and especially coming out flat. You got to remember they had 10 shots maybe right away. The first 12 minutes, Philly, and something like that, and then. It got pretty quiet in the second period, so it got pretty quiet for McKenzie, but obviously he came back for a little bit in the third.
Yeah, I get it. Philly hasn't scored a goal in like 180 minutes of hockey or whatever ridiculous number they're at this point, but doesn't change the fact that the Avs can still use a team struggling to get right and feel better about the way they're playing hockey. And I do think the story of this game is interesting in the sense that the Avs really didn't play all that well in the first period. I don't think they played horribly or anything, but Philadelphia was getting the lion's share of the possession, at least to start the first. But the Avs, survived all that in part thanks to Blackwood, but also didn't give up anything too crazy. And then more importantly is they had the turning point in this game. It feels like too often in those losses, the Avs aren't able to turn that corner. They aren't able to get themselves up and involved in the game. Now, Philly does fail to capitalize on a few chances, but then the Avs counterpunch, get that goal. And honestly, from the first goal onward, it felt like the Avs were just completely in control of this game.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but I wasn't nervous at all. I felt they had it under control. For the most part, once they got that first goal, like you said, I didn't like the first period. I'm not saying that it was awful. I'm saying that I felt there was not a lot of passion in their play, and hence the Flyers controlling the play most of the period, and there wasn't a lot of jam in their play. And again, maybe to be expected a little bit after their hot start against St. Louis, and then the second half of the game where it was kind of like died down. Maybe it carried over a little bit to this game where they weren't really on top of their game. And but then again, that's why you get goaltending. But like you said, it wasn't too crazy of chances against. It was just, he made the saves he had to make and maybe one or two more. And then he gave them a chance to go get that first one. And then, of course, they get the first one off of a gift from God. I tell you all the time, like, it's my pet peeve in hockey. Shoot the puck wide. It's just dumb. For me, it's the toughest play in hockey because you're untouched and you just shoot wide. And I like Lawton. I believe it was Lawton. I do like him, but he makes a mistake there. And against the Avalanche transition team, they'll only make you pay. And then Casey goes and gives it to Sammy, and Sammy buries it a little blocker or whatever it was on the right side. On the blocker side, and and then from that point on, I felt that they didn't really. And you get the help from the power play, obviously, and then you're really in control of the game. Hence the 2-0 score.
Yeah, it felt good to be on the other side of this. At times this year, it's felt like the Avs have generated good chances early in the game, failed to capitalize, and then the other team comes back and scores that first goal, and it makes the Avs' life harder. Colorado getting back into things like this, which feel like winning habits, right? These are the types of games where I'm sure they wanted more out of themselves in the first period, but good teams find ways to win hockey games and be successful even when they maybe don't have a good period, even when they don't play their best. They step it up. They answer the bell. They find ways to do what they need to do. And yeah, sure, Philly's whatever, call them whatever you want as a caliber of a team, but you have to go out and beat that team, and the Avs did that.
Yeah, and that's where I think the number one thing you need when that happens, when you're not at your best, like you said, when you're not on top of your game, when you're trying to find your legs, um, goaltending. You know what I mean? Like for me,
Yeah.
it's just like, that's when he has to be at his best. He was sharp. He looked really in control. He looked like P.W. to me tonight, like in a sense that there's a couple times I was watching and the replays came in. He was just reading the play, then the puck would hit him. He wasn't panicking. He would go in front of him and just freeze it. For me, that was P.W. type. I felt that Patrick Waugh always made things look easy. And when you make things look easy as a goaltender, it's for me, it's good. Too many times do I feel goaltender make things look hard because they're all over the place and jamming things and jumping everywhere. And it's like, buddy, all you had to do was freeze the puck. That didn't have to happen. So I felt he was in control of the game the whole night. I didn't feel that he was like shaky at all. I felt he was there. And then once he got that first goal, you know what I mean? I think there was no looking back. And I think that you have sequences like that in a season where you feel that nothing's going to go in. And I think in between periods, I remember Patty Waugh saying that, and I don't know how Blackwood is, but sometimes it's like, guys, don't worry about it. Nothing's coming in. Nothing's coming in. You know what I mean? And then you feel pretty good as a team. You know what I mean? You go out there and then you're able to play your game and not, squeeze the stick and, be scared to make a mistake. And, so right now, if they can keep this up and bring that into the road trip, and then you get that pause, then you'll be in great shape for post-nation hockey. I mean, post-Four Nations hockey,
Yep. We'll talk about Blackwood some more later. We'll give him even more credit, I'm sure. But I do want to talk about the defense in front of him, too. Between St. Louis and this game, you've now given up the St. Louis game 19 shots on goal in that game against. Tonight, just 24 shots on goal against. Those are two pretty darn quality puck possession defensive efforts from this Avs team. And especially post-lead, the Avs gave Philly almost nothing. Philly really did not generate much at all when they were trailing in this game. The Avs did a great job of locking it down. I'm not saying it's perfect. I think the start of that third period, he had a couple of defensive mistakes where Blackwood did keep that shutout for himself and earned it. But on the whole, if this is what the Avs are giving up to these teams, yeah, you can win games 2-0.
Yeah, and it starts with Bednar's comment now 2 games ago. Now, if you take today's obviously out of the way, when he said I'm treating this like it's playoff hockey, and we all know in playoff hockey, you want to win, you're gonna have to tighten things up defensively. You're gonna have to limit the chances against. You're gonna have to you punch back when you don't have the momentum, and those are exactly things that they did. And it starts on the defensive side of the puck when everybody's checking, when everybody's above pucks, when everybody is not blowing assignments. Were they perfect tonight? No. Did I think Josh had a little bit of a tough night? I felt he had a tough night. I didn't think it was easy for him. I thought everything was hard. They got lucky. He coughs up that puck, and then there's a 2-on-1, and Lawton shoots wide, and then Gerard goes and scores.
And they have score.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So they got away with stuff tonight. And again, when you're on a winning, streak, because you're at 2 now, it is. I know we don't call that a streak, but when you win back-to-back games, you're gonna get away from stuff. So they got away from it there. They score there, and it's 1-0 the other side. It's not the same game. We all know that. And you call that luck and puck luck, and somewhere somehow they can't control the way Philly shoots the puck. They shot wide. So, but I think it's important that defense first mentality does not take away from your offense. It doesn't. I think the Avalanche found that a few years back on their way to their first, not their first, but their third Stanley Cup in 2022. But it's important to play that way. It's not boring hockey. It's called intelligent hockey. If you're all over the place, you don't care about the back end, then you know what? You're not going to win games in this league. It's too tough of a league. The guys are too good. The skill's too high, and chances are there. So I think it was important that they got back in those 2 games. shows right now, but 2 shutouts. I mean, you couldn't ask for more from your
Right.
goalie or for your, right? I mean,
Literally
from your
can't do more.
team defense. It's not like they gave up 35 chances. I mean, they barely got 24 shots. So I think as a coaching staff, you're excited, you're happy because you challenge them. But then again, like you say, and all the time, now you got to keep going. You got to keep going. And I think that they've been more than fine on the road this year at times. And I think that they've usually won their meaty road trips, except the last one. So you don't lose 2 games in a row, but you certainly don't lose 2 road trips in a row. So let's make it happen. And it starts, obviously, the first game there, Vancouver, right? Vancouver's the first one? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Vancouver's the first one. Yeah.
And look, it's not just about playing the quality defensive side. When the Avs are at their best, their defense is chipping in. Sam Girard, ultimately, that is the game-winning goal tonight. He gets the big hat. So let's hear what he had to say in the locker room.
When coach challenged you guys coming into these last couple of games at home, just how good does it feel to get the results? Not just have a good process and things like that.
Yeah, no, feels good. I don't think the first period today was very good from us, but I think we came back strong in the second and the third. I think that's more the way we should play. Just I feel like in the first there was a lot of turnovers, but we kind of just keep it simple in the second and third and just try to create some turnover behind their net and to make sure that we bring some offense from there.
Coaches talked about having more of a shooting mentality. You're on that odd man rush. Is that in the back of your head a little bit of, we want to be putting puck towards the net instead of making that extra pass?
Yeah, I mean, that's something that I need to be better personally. Just trying to put more pucks on net and we're probably going to create some rebounds and maybe retreat the puck into just to bring some offense time in the offensive zone as well. So I mean that's something I need to be better for sure, just to put the puck on net.
Is that something you've been working towards recently, putting pucks on net?
I mean in practice I just try to shoot a little more, to go on the ice before practice and just to shoot and there's still some times during a game I feel like I have the shooting lane and I try to pass it, but I feel like today I was a little better at trying to find the shooting lane and just to try to put the puck on net.
Second straight shutout. What is Mackenzie Blackwood's play doing for this team's confidence right now?
Yeah, he's good. It's fun. As a decor, when that somebody can make those saves. Sometime it's gonna happen. Somebody's gonna make a mistake, and it's nice to see that Blackie's making those saves. And he's playing unbelievable right now.
What's the key on this next road trip here to kind of take this momentum from the last 2 games and carry it into the break?
Yeah, well, I feel the mentality the last 2 games it's to play it's the playoffs. So. We're just gonna have to keep going like we did in the second and the third today, and last game like we did.
So Girard, look, I don't know that the Avs had the shoot first mentality in the first period of this game, but it certainly seemed clear that when the Avs got themselves in gear, look, they had 16 shot attempts in the first period, and they had 17 shots on goal in the second period. There was obviously a change in style there.
Yeah, and I want to say about Sammy, he's not too often behind the camera talking, but I'll tell you one thing. How fun is that to watch him grow as a human being? As he came in basically as a teenager here, now he's a married man. And, I think it's awesome. And, to learn the language, and not easy always as your second language, but he did great. He does great. And, again, what an underappreciated piece of the Avalanche. I just wanted to add that, not because he's one of mine in the sense as a Quebecer, but, I do appreciate him a lot. And I think that I like when he gets behind the camera and talks like that. I think it's great. So kudos to him. But, yeah, I mean, I like it. I like the game. I really feel good about the decor tonight. I really feel good about, the defensive side of things. And, it goes back to simple things, It goes back to basics. It's details. It's executing. And it's not blowing assignments. And when you do that, you're going to possess the puck because the guy's I don't know if you noticed, but this guy 88 and 29, they have the puck. I mean, it's pretty hard to take the puck away from them. And it's pretty sick, and then you got 7 and 8 that jump in. And, it's kind of fun to watch. And I think if they keep doing this, taking care of their own end. And then maybe have a like Sammy said, maybe a little bit more of a shoot mentality. I feel that it's getting there, it's getting better. I think once they do that, they'll be more than fine and be able to get back into the W column like they've been doing the last couple games.
It's for Sammy in particular. Obviously, the goal is great, awesome. Hockey is funny sometimes. Sam Girard was on the ice tonight for one high danger chance against, and 12 seconds later he scored a goal. So
That was
it's the way hockey goes.
Josh there,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's just, it is what it is, right? And then, again, Philly, I just felt that, I don't know, I felt they had no chance. I'm being mean, but remember I tell you all the time, when it hits you, it hits you. There's 3 games now they haven't scored a goal, man. It just feels like you will never score again.
You can
I don't
see
know
it.
who was. Yeah, the guy slapped his stick, broke his stick at the end. I don't know who it was. You got to be mad. You haven't scored a goal. You know what a goal is when your hands go up in the air and you're pumped, and you know what I mean. Like, and they haven't done that in 3 games. That's or maybe more. I don't even know. Like on the 4th game when they scored their goal, but I don't know what their minutes are at now, but it gets into your head. It's tough. I say that about blackjack all the time. And compared to black, you feel you'll never win a hand. Like these guys feel they'll never score a goal. It really, and that's why I'm saying the Lawton again. I like Scott Lawton, but you haven't scored a goal in 3 games, and you shoot the puck wide on basically a clear cut 2-on-1. Like again, that's unacceptable. You gotta, and he knows that. He'd be here saying it too. Like shoot 5-hole. You haven't scored a goal. Stop trying to pick corners. Like shoot the puck 5-hole. You're gonna miss. It's gonna go top shelf, lower, or whatever it is, or it's gonna hit the pad, come back out, or it goes in 5-hole. I'm just saying. There's a reason you're hitting bagels right now. That's 3 games in a row you got bagels. You got to change your mentality when you're shooting right now. And I feel that they weren't greasy. They didn't really get greasy in front of McKenzie. I thought McKenzie was really solid in front of him. Yep. He didn't let anything get inside tight him. His paddle was down. His big body was in the way. He would freeze pucks. So kudos to McKenzie, but there's something you're doing wrong when you're not scoring for 3 games. Also on the Flyers side of things.
For the record, they did score an empty netter at the end of that game, so it is basically 3 games without a goal. But Eric's talking about getting greasy. Look, sometimes when you get greasy, you got to clean things up, especially if you got a greasy grundle. So make sure that you go get with Mando, all right? Mando will keep you clean, keep you smelling fresh, keep you feeling and looking good. Wherever it is that you are smelly or stinky or greasy, pits, belly button, balls, butt cracks, doesn't matter. They've got you covered over at Mando. Tons of great scents, including bourbon leather, cloverwood, Mount Fuji, and Pro Sport. And they have a bunch of different products to get you feeling clean and right. You can get with Mando today over at shopmando.com. That's shopmando.com. You can buy their starter pack, and it comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, and 2 free products of your choice, like mini body wash or deodorant wipes. It also ships for free, and you can get $5 off the starter pack with code DNVR over at shopmando.com. Please support our show. Tell them we sent you over there. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando. And once you're smelling good, feeling good, you know what? You're allowed to get a little greasy sometimes. Some grease is good, and that's why you go to Sexy Pizza once you're smelling right. Yeah. Jump in with Sexy Pizza, get that by the slice pizza, go to the dirty areas and get rewarded for it. Sexy Pizza, of course, has more than just pizza slices, though. They're a big part of the community here in Colorado. They do fundraisers, they support local sports teams, they do all sorts of great stuff for the community. So get with them and help support your local community and have some pretty good pizza at the same time. You can take a look at their everyday specials because they sell slices all day, every day, and their base special comes with a fountain drink, but it can be upgraded to a beer or wine at the locations that serve alcohol. So go get yourself some good stuff and get 15% off with code DNVR15 online or in store with Sexy Pizza, serving sustainability, community, and hand-tossed pizza in Colorado. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. Let's get into our 3 stars of the game here if they're ready to go. Girard, honorable mention. He probably could have taken this 3rd star spot. I wouldn't have blamed you. But Jonathan Drouin, quietly another 2-point night. This is a guy now who has 22 points in 21 games in Colorado. I talked about this on my review the other day. Look, if you have health concerns with him, I get it. I totally understand. He's missed a bunch of games this year. It's a pretty consistent thing in his career. He struggles to be healthy sometimes. But when he's on the ice, he is one of the Avs' most effective offensive producers.
He's got 6 and 4, I think, like you said, 20 something and 20, like you said. This is a guy that can make magic when he's got the puck on the stick, and he's feeling it right now. You can tell he's feeling it. You can put him on the second line. You can put him with, obviously, Halifax homies, or you can, obviously produce as well on the top power play. He is a big piece of that power play. Obviously, being a lefty now with 3 righties, he makes a difference, will make a difference. This is a guy that has had a long year. His 20 games were spread out, as we know, like played, didn't play, so it hasn't been easy. Wait till he finds his groove. I do believe he's finding his groove right now, and this is going to be dangerous for the opposition, especially if you're hiding him on the second line. I like Joe. I like you said, Sammy could be there as well. The French guys were on fire today, so let's leave it that way.
I just want this comparison because I think a lot of people have talked so much about how important someone like Val Nichushkin is to this team and how they miss him when he's out. And I understand Val brings things like a high-level defense and maybe a little bit more physicality, not necessarily by crushing people, but he's a bigger body than someone like Jonathan Drouin. But when you look at the production, Jonathan Drouin has 22 points in 21 games this year for the Avs. Val Nichushkin has 17 points in 21 games this year for the Avs.
Big piece. And that's why we've been saying all year long, Val was missing. He was missing. Big pieces have been missing. And important pieces, not necessarily top-end pieces. I'm going to leave Makar and, about to throw Natchez in there and obviously McKinnon. But I think those guys are secondary, and that's not bad to be secondary. It's Drouin, Lehkonen, Nichushkin, Taze. Their crop of secondary guys is outstanding, and but you touched the nail on the head there. Over a point production from Jonathan with no flow to his season, in the sense that he hasn't been able to get out there on a consistent basis, and once he does, this is going to be trouble, like I said, for the opposition, because you can hide him on that second line there, and he can make magic happen. Absolutely.
Also trouble for the opposition, our second star, Nathan McKinnon, remembered you're supposed to move your feet on the power play, and it's a problem for other teams. It doesn't take a ton. It just, even McKinnon moving from the half wall, skating a puck into the inside of the circle and pulling a shot, that's what got the Avs a power play goal tonight. It's incredible how dangerous the Avs can be with just that little bit extra from someone like McKinnon on the power play.
Yeah, and as you know, I get mad sometimes when over the last couple of years, and that one-timer that I don't necessarily like, and I'm like, God, Mikko was better at one time. I like Nate's shot better. But again, if you look at the game today, that shot there, that's for me is a McKinnon shot. You know what I mean? It's not the hardest shot. It's just smart. He waits till the goalie can't really see him, and then he just threads the needle. Because why? Because he shot the puck. You know what I mean? Too many times he's been trying to hit that frickin' bumper or that seam pass or whatever it is. And I feel that if he's starting to mix it up a little bit and shoot more like we saw tonight, and then move, like you said, sometimes end up on the other side and Marty gets up on this side, it just throws the opposition for a loop. And that's the beauty of, again, they have to, missing a lefty that they traded away and gaining another righty. So now it gives you 3 righties, so you have to figure out how to, connect and make the most out of those positions, because it does make a big difference, a lefty or a righty, obviously. And even Kale being a righty up top makes a big difference, right? So I think they're starting to figure it out. They're starting to see what works, and they're starting to produce. Obviously, another big power play goal tonight, and that was obviously McKinnon that scored that one. And again, I like a shooting Nate. I like passing Nate. Don't get me wrong. He's got 60 assists, but I think we all like shooting Nate as well.
You have to do enough to keep him honest at the very least. And look, I I'll be first to tell you Nate's not the best shooter in the world, but he's good enough. Go look at the goal he scored tonight. That's a pretty darn good shot to put that in far post from his spot there. So shoot the puck, Nate.
Yep.
Our number one star should not surprise anyone, considering he's gone 120 minutes of hockey without giving up a goal. Mackenzie Blackwood locked in. Eric talked about it in the first period. I think maybe more impressive than the actual stretch of shutout hockey is look at how locked in he was today. Every puck right to the chest, every puck super square to it. When the Avs do give up a dangerous play, he's locked in, he sticks with the skater, he makes one move to kick a leg out, and the play is dead. He just was on top of everything perfectly.
Yeah, and I think that's an art to make things look easy. It might not be spectacular like others at times, but it's certainly effective. And I think when he plays that type of hockey, when we've seen him play a lot of that type of hockey, and yeah, he's made some spectacular saves, where it was like reading the play and then making that push across it, because we know he's athletic, he's a good acrobat, but also when it's not there, it wasn't any chances like that against tonight, so you can't make up the chances that are not there. So what he did is just played the game that was in front of him, and I think he smothered pucks. He was smart. He was intelligent. He moved the puck a couple times. That's goalies have hockey IQ as well, guys. People tend to forget, they're goalies. No, they know when to freeze a puck because you need a stoppage of play. They know when to keep it going because they feel that they can break the puck out and the other team's opposition didn't change. So you have to know those things, and I do believe that with Blackwood and Wedgwood, that obviously we know that he's hurt for, going to be missing for a couple days here, but we know those two guys have high hockey IQ as goalies, and they talk a lot, and they talk in the locker room, but they talk on the ice, and it makes a big difference. And I think that now you're past that month or month and a half period where all of a sudden your decor is responding to you the way you play, and you're responding the way they play, and then I think there's a little bit of a marriage there, a little bit of a connection where things are a little bit smoother. Even though you saw it today, it was a mistake. I think he kind of put it in Sammy's feet there behind the net, and then it could have been bad, but they recovered. It's one of those games tonight where nothing bad happened once you made a couple of stupid mistakes, but but then again, I think for overall his communication with his D's have been outstanding and all the forwards. So hey, he's on a heater right now. So let's just bring it up on the road and keep going.
Our guy JMike talked with Blackwood after the game too, so let's hear what the steady Yeti had to say.
Faced a lot of shots these last two games, but it seems like the ones you do face, you've had to make some big saves. How hard is it to kind of stay in those kinds of games?
It's can be challenging, but the more I experience it, the easier it becomes. I'm not saying it'll ever be easy, but you do something enough, and you know how to handle it. So yeah.
Back-to-back shutouts for you. When you get in a rhythm like this, are you just kind of feeling it even from one game to the next?
I don't know. I feel like pretty similar every game. So sometimes the results are there and sometimes they're not, but I try and play the same way, day in and day out. Sometimes they get better chances, and sometimes we lock her down. So it's just the way hockey goes. But I think over these last two games we've done a tremendous job in the D zone, just playing the right way.
What flipped in the second period from your perspective?
Just started playing a little bit faster, I think. Getting in behind them and hunting the puck and putting some more pucks on net. So I think it was just a little bit of a sleepier first period, and then we came out on our toes in the second there.
From your perspective, do you feel like this group has a little bit more jump since the trade last weekend?
Oh no, this is the same. I think obviously, a trade like that is. A shock for a lot of guys, especially the ones that have been here with him for a long time. But no, I don't think the team has more jump or less because of the trade. I think more just because we know the situation we're in with the points and being so tight, we're trying to play the right way and maybe bear down a little bit over these next couple games.
You came here mid-season and kind of obviously made an impact pretty quickly. Are you at all surprised to see both of these guys start to produce right away?
I've seen Carolina play a lot. I know what kind of players they are. So, when you play with a guy like Nate and Lecky and on that first line there, and then also Jack's line there,
you put them around good players, they're going to have a chance to be successful. So, it's great to see them, coming in here and playing so great right off the hop.
Are these 1 o'clock starts a little tough just from a body clock standpoint because you play so many games at night?
Yeah. Sometimes it's nice. Sometimes, it's tough. It's just you try and find your rhythm, do certain things a different way in the morning. So I find it's more just about when you eat. That's the biggest thing for me.
Coach was talking about.
I love it. It's almost about food. I love it.
When you post 2 shutouts in a row, you can say whatever you want at that point, man. All right? You talk about food for the whole interview.
Yeah. I mean, I tell you all the time, it's always about, well, when do I eat and what do I eat? Is it a salmon day, a chicken day, or is this eggs and bacon? You know what I mean? Like, or pancakes? Like, you get all confused, So it's funny how it always evolves around. It looks like he likes his food, the big fella. I like that.
You're on your cookie kick right now, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. But the Avalanche do so good on those afternoon games. You know that.
They do.
I mean, Brendan tweeted this morning with the percentages, like almost near 800. Percentage of wins like the last few seasons. It's amazing. But it's funny because you do have to think about it, and some guys just can't. They just can't adapt to it. Obviously, it doesn't seem to be the problem for any of the Avs. So everybody seems to have their legs, and for the most part, and everybody, was ready to go. They responded to the challenge. I like it. They responded to Coach Bednar's challenge, and like he said, trade, no trade doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we got a job to do, and that's the same thing, and that's what the Philadelphia Flyers are not doing since their trade. And, they haven't scored a goal since they traded a couple of their buddies. So, it doesn't work that way.
The Avs had their legs. Hopefully you hit some of your legs on a parlay with Bet365. Go get over with Bet365 today. Use the DNVR365 code when you sign up, and you bet $5 on anything. You get $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. So that's $150 of free money to play with on Bet365. Whatever you want to bet on. Seems like Avs power play goals might be back on the menu for betting. I'll put it to you that way. But you can also bet on Drouin to get points. If Natchez is your guy, you can bet on him. He didn't get a point tonight, though maybe should have gotten one on the empty netter if Kivy didn't biff it. But is what it is. Whatever you're betting on doesn't have to be the Avs. Could be the Nuggets. Could be the Superb. Could be whatever. With sports, Bet365 has it all. Jump in with them. Use code DNVR365 when you sign up again to get those $150 in bonus bets. And when you do gamble with Bet365, you must be 21 or older, physically located in Colorado. And if you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER today. And when you have some extra money winnings, make sure you're heading on over to Shady Rays. Go to ShadyRays.com today. When you get there, you can get 35% off any pair of polarized sunglasses with code DNVR. Their shades have been given 5 stars by over 300,000 people. They have hundreds of choices, different polarization colors, different designs, different styles. They even have goggles for skiing and snowboarders, if that's your thing. You can get them at Shady Rays. So go get with them. They have the best return policy around. First 30 days, when you get a pair, if you don't like them, you lose them or you break them. All 3 of those options, you can return them and they'll replace them entirely for free. It's that easy with Shady Rays. So go get with them. Join Shady Rays today. Get your sunglasses and enjoy life with that DNVR code and 35% off. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. We're talking about Shady Rays. Let me tell you, is the Avalanche future bright right now, Are we staring into the bright future sun? Because it feels like the trade has worked out as good as you could expect so far for Colorado. It feels like you expect there to be more pieces in the pipeline for Colorado. It sounds like this Wedgwood injury is a day-to-day thing. He's going on the trip, so that doesn't seem that serious. You get through this Four Nations break. Val Nichushkin is expected to come back. It just feels like a lot of things could line up for Colorado.
Oh, absolutely. And you know that, again, I'm not being GM Chris McFarland or the Avalanche front office here, but towards the trade deadline, they're going to add a player or two. You know that. I mean, again, I'm not saying it's easy. You hear me talk all the time that it takes 2 teams and 2 people to tango. It's not Xbox. But again, with everything you just said, plus the trade deadline, I think they're in good shape. I think they are in a good position to make some damage here in the spring. And, I'm looking forward to it. You know what I mean? I think that some guys will take the break as a nice, little advantage, a little break. some guys might get some confidence. Who knows? Maybe a Devontae's that's never played really international hockey. I mean, not that I remember. I don't remember him at World Juniors for Canada. Maybe, I don't know. I don't think so. That's my point. So you get a taste a little bit. Again, we all know it's not the real international hockey, but it is. You're representing your country, whatever it is, even though it's just one of those exhibition tournaments. But I do believe the level of hockey will be good. And again, I feel good where this team is heading, where this team is going. I didn't mind those 4 games on that road trip, those 3 games on the road trip. I think they deserved the better fate. They didn't. And then their record would be, a lot better, for example, as of late, if you would have won that Boston game and, have a better fate in that New York Islander game. Again, what if, I know that. But, again, I do believe the last 5 games, the Avalanche have played pretty solid hockey for the most part.
I want to expand on that pretty solid hockey part as, again, future is bright. Make sure you're wearing your Shady Rays from ShadyRays.com. Casey Middlestat and that second line. Thought they were pretty darn good possession-wise again. Casey does pick up that point on the rush chance that Gerard finishes. Are we starting to get back into the room where, okay, we believe in Casey as 2C?
Absolutely. I mean, you have to, because that's what you have and that's what you're doing. And it's a learning and progress, so to speak, for Casey. It was the same thing last year, and I think he ended up in the playoffs where he was really good. He was actually almost excellent. He played a tough game. He played a two-way game. Would you have liked to have like a lot more production? Why not? I mean, why not? Everybody wants more production. But I think it's been an up and down year this year. But I do believe once he gets the puck on his stick, like we saw tonight, he doesn't need to have it so much. And then obviously he makes the right play. As much as you think it's an easy play to Sammy, it is. But you could have also forced the play across to, was it Kivy going down to the net? And all of a sudden that's a lefty going down. And then he's like, okay, I'm going to wait. Then he does. He's got such patience with the puck. And he waits for Sammy. And we all know the Avalanche jump up in the play, whether it's the big fella Middleton or anybody. It's not just Kale and Damon. Like, all of a sudden you got Sammy that jumps in and makes the right play, and he just kind of holds on to it, goes left a little bit, and then rifles it up on the blocker side of things. But yeah, Casey I think is going to be fine. Again, like I tell you all the time, sometimes when you hit it and you don't have that beautiful ice that I talk about all the time, it's kind of hard to get out of it. And you are playing behind Nathan MacKinnon here in the sense that he's going to get all the nice ice and with all the reasons, he's the best player in the league. Sorry, one of the best players in the league. If you're a fan of McDavid, great. I still think Kale's the best player on the planet. But I'm talking about as a forward. You're not gonna get the top ice. It's just not gonna happen. And you have to learn, and you have to adapt. And I think you just heard Blackwood about. And again, you're the first one that told me when we were talking about Blackwood, like in freaking October. And you're like, yeah, he's a volume goalie. He's gonna have, again, the Avalanche. I'd like to see the last couple seasons in San Jose where he went a period without like having really a scoring chance. Probably never happened. You know what I mean? And I think he did talk about that in there. It's a work in progress. He's learning and he's feeling better about those situations where you don't get busy and you got to stay busy. And it's the same thing for Casey. You got to stay busy on the bench. You got to stay. And I'm not telling you that he's playing 10. I didn't look at the ice time tonight, but we all know he played 10 minutes. What is it, last game or the game before? But I don't know where he's at tonight. But somewhere, somehow, he's not playing 20-plus minutes. And, as an offensive guy, sometimes you need those minutes, to help you get out of a funk. But right now, he's not getting those. And, you got to make the best of it and figure out how to be still on the production side of things, but also not to be on the bad side of things, on the defensive side of things. And that's why you're seeing the Avalanche right now, winning back-to-back with shutouts.
Yeah, I mean, it feels good. It feels good to see the Avs win games in different ways, too. In this stretch of up and down hockey, they've needed to score 5-6 goals to win games. They didn't need that tonight. And yeah, sure, they technically didn't need it against St. Louis either. But the way that the recipe to these two shutouts is two very different games, right? The St. Louis one, you just barraged that team in the first period and ran away with the game. This one, you had to grind it out the entire game. You had to be there, be focused, and make sure you – yeah, again, mistakes get made along the way, but the Avs were in it. They were involved. They put themselves in a position to win, and they closed that out.
Oh, absolutely. And again, That's playoffs hockey, right? It's playoff hockey. You fall asleep for a minute, the other team gets one, they feel something, all of a sudden they got momentum. Next thing you know, you've lost the momentum. There's back-to-back shifts all of a sudden. Look no further than the Boston game. They are in perfect control of the game. They played probably the best two periods, 40 minutes of hockey of the season. And then they fall asleep on a couple plays in the start of the third period. Next thing you know, you're chasing the game. Where it's like, what? You know what I mean? Like the other team didn't touch the puck yet. Next thing you know, in a matter of like a few minutes, you're now behind and chasing. So it's important to stay awake, not to blow assignments, and it's important also to execute. Execution is not just on a 2-on-1 or 3-on-1 like we saw, Middlestat to Girard. Execution is also a 10-foot outlet pass on the way out. It's giving it to the right person, not putting your partner in the soup, not putting the winger in a tough situations where they get the puck and turn it over. So that's what execution is, and that's important to do, and it's important to be on top of your game at all times. And I think that the Avalanche did that tonight, especially again. You got to give credit to Philly. They haven't scored a goal in 3 games, but they were working hard. You got to tip your hat to them. It's not like they packed it in and they were like, "Oh, we're done." They just gave everything they had. It just wasn't enough, and it's not enough if you measure up to the Avalanche when they're on top of their game.
All right. We have JMike on the call from Ball Arena, getting to watch the Avs in person here. And, what stood out more for you tonight? The goaltending or the Avs power play? You tell me.
I think the goaltending, obviously it's encouraging for Nathan MacKinnon to put one home on the power play, his first power play goal in 44 games, which just feels absurd. But to me, this game felt like a couple months ago, it would have been the type of game where you give up a couple of cheapies and you look up in the third and it's 2-2 or maybe even trailing 3-2. And I know that Blackwood hasn't had to face, an absurd volume of shots these last couple of games. But the key thing is whenever there is even a remotely decent scoring opportunity, the guy's been a brick wall. I've just been really impressed with his composure, especially coming off of a couple of tough results there out on the road where, you played some decent hockey, but things didn't go your way. It just feels like he's in a really good place.
I'm sure we'll hear it in Jared Bednar's interview a little bit, but we heard your interviews in the locker room. Does it feel like this team has responded the way Bednar has wanted to treating these games like playoff hockey, like you said?
From a body language standpoint, I'd say so. It was pretty sluggish in that first period. I wouldn't say this is their best game, but they were also pretty solid defensively. It's not like it was awful. They just weren't quite locked in there, and it does feel like in the second period they kind of found that gear that they had Friday night, which has been encouraging. For a lack of a better term, I think there's kind of been a fire lit under this group's ass over the last week or so, at least post trade. Kind of a wake up call potentially for everybody that shake up can always happen, and long season still, but the direction feels very encouraging to me.
You mentioned the slow start. Is there something specific it felt like changed in the building in that second period, or did the Avs just decide to show up?
It just felt like they were executing better. Like there were 3 or 4 failed clearing opportunities in that first period, some sloppy passing, not to sound like a coach and go all cliches, but it was like they just played better fundamental hockey as the game progressed, and they stopped making the silly little mistakes. They were crisper altogether. Missed the net quite a few times. I'll be interested to hear you guys talk about that. I feel like this maybe could have been more like a 3-4-0 game if they would have just put the puck on net a little bit more consistently. But to me, it just comes down to execution. I really don't think it's all that complicated.
In our chat there, Joseph Crotty there, I do agree with him. He said Philly was very good in the first, Eric. No, I agree, Joseph. We talked about that earlier where they came out like gangbusters and the Avalanche was sleepy. And again, you just kind of asked that question a little bit, Rudo, but did it feel in the building like it was 2 different games, from the first period where all of a sudden you're like, oh, it's 0-0. Okay, we escaped it. And then all of a sudden the second period, they got 2 goals in the crowd that gets into it, and then you never look back.
Yeah, there was definitely just a lot more energy, both from how the Avs were playing and also from a vibe standpoint in the building. The crowd got into it. Just so much of that first period felt like you're in your defensive zone. I think Philly outshot them 7-0 before the Avs even had a shot on goal. And the second and third period just felt night and day. Like it felt like the type of disparity between the two teams you would have expected to see, given like where these two teams are at in the standings. I was pretty surprised the way Philly came out flying in that first period there.
To the point you made, Avs just 6 shots on goal in the first period on 16 attempts. So they missed 2/3 of their shots essentially in the first period. And then they figured it out in the second period. Like you said, hockey's not complicated sometimes. You can't score unless the puck goes on net. And the Avs managed that in the second half of the game.
I actually asked Bednar about it post-game just because that's one of the things he's focused on a lot of, maybe sometimes they get a little bit too cute and just shoot the puck, put it on net, try and create some scoring opportunities. I think he's referencing more when they're in the offensive zone than like transition. Obviously, they score with the odd man rush there. Still a good decision. I mean, that's a shot that they passed up at times. It's just like, can we see that for 3 periods? I still would not sure this team's quite played like a full 60-minute game on the offensive end where it felt like they were locked in. Even in the blowout, like you're super sharp in the first period, you close strong, but kind of a lull in the second period there. I feel like when this team finally like fully embraces that, they're gonna explode. Like it just feels like they're knocking on the door and they're close to kicking it through. But I definitely like the offensive mentality as the game went on there.
They took care of business. They got 2 wins in a row here. They've got 3 more heading into the break. Bednar has this team in what feels like a good spot. Is there any adjustments they need to make, or is it keep doing what they're doing?
I think it's just keep what you're doing and try and avoid some of these Hyde moments. They've been kind of like Dr. Jekyll and Hyde or whatever. Like if you can just be a little bit more even keeled on this road trip, not have a Chicago type game and a Winnipeg type game. And, in that most recent road trip, just go out and build off what you've done here. Because I think even on some of those road losses, like they've played pretty good here over this last 5-game stretch or so. And now that you're starting to see the defense lock in, and obviously, Blackwood's playing great, it just feels like they're in a good spot. But it's consistency, and that's been the big bugaboo for this team all year. And even Bednar at times, I feel like when he gets asked about it, he's like, I'm always confident in this group. We're just looking for them to find that stability, and hopefully this is that period with which it's coming.
Any final thoughts?
They took care of business on the homestand, right? Like Bednar kind of set the tone. The message coming into this was this is a playoff stretch before 4 Nations. You needed to take care of business, and you did exactly that. No, you're not playing world beaters necessarily, but to win, these 2 games 7-0 in a 72-hour stretch, this is exactly what you were supposed to do. Tough to complain much about the performance over the last 2 games.
All right. Make sure you're going and following Justin Michael on Twitter with the in-arena coverage. He also has great CSU coverage, if that's your thing too. So be sure to check that stuff out. We are going to take a quick 1-second break here. All right. And then let's just jump right in. Let's hear what Jared Bednar had to say in his post-game presser.
Go ahead. You guys have a little bit of a slow start offensively. Still get to 32 shots. Perfect performance at the other end. I guess is this like most ideal scenario, best drawn out scenario you could have for 2 straight home games?
Well, yeah, minus the first period for me tonight. Like, we were just out there. I mean, there was nothing wrong with it defensively. Like, but we're just out there playing hockey. Like we're not playing to win. We're just out there kind of seeing how it goes. But there wasn't a lot of mistakes or anything. It's just not dangerous, not on our toes. It's not to our identity, and which is what we talked about after the first. And then, credit to the guys, they corrected it in the second period, because I thought we got much more dangerous. Like there's some detail lacking in the first period, and we got it going and ended up, having a nice game from there on out.
Mackenzie gave a lot of credit to what was happening in front of him and the way the guys were defending. How much of this, these last 2 games, are you guys leaning on Mackenzie, and how much is it a sign of being able to play a more complete defensive game?
Yeah, I don't think we've given up very many high danger chances in the last couple games. I think we've done a nice job defending, and when we have a breakdown, he's been there. So I'd say it's a combination of both, which is the way it should be.
couple of power play goals on this homestand. How do you feel about the direction of the unit right now?
Yeah, it's going good. You know, whenever you're getting rewarded and kind of creating quality looks, even the one power play tonight, we had some really good looks on it, didn't score. I think, they're chipping in. When you're finding a way to get power play goals on a nightly basis, it's helping. And the penalty kill's doing the same thing at the other end, keeping them off the board. So a lot of things, different aspects of our game that I'm liking.
Are you confident this team's kind of turned the corner after the roller coaster January and they can start to put together a win streak on the road trip here?
Am I confident? I'm always pretty confident in our team, but like we've been bouncing around for 16 games, you know, and there's always games you feel like you should have had, you know, maybe got a better result than you did, and then there's games where you feel like, you know, we didn't give enough in order to win them. So I want us to like be stringing together performances like we just did over the last two or better and see where it takes us. But I'm confident that we understand where we're at and the importance of all the games, and now it's time to go out and repeat it again and again and again, 3 more times before we take our break.
It's hard to find a lot of flaws in someone who's leading the NHL in points, but McKinnon going 40-plus games between power play goals, like, have you ever seen a stretch like that?
I didn't even know that it was 40, you know, to be honest with you. So it's, yeah, I don't know. I don't notice, like, all the time who's scoring, how they're scoring. He gets dangerous on certain nights. I think he likes to pass the puck. He likes to hit the open guy. I think he can do more of what he did tonight, for sure. He walks it in. He's been doing a nice job sort of getting to the interior of the ice where he's drawing attention, finding other guys. But I think sometimes when they don't come to him and he gets into those spots, he has the ability to snap it home. I think he'd probably do a little bit more of that. But that's a lot of games without scoring one for the time that he plays. But he's finding a way to contribute in other ways, no doubt.
You talked about putting more shots on net and just trying to create scoring opportunities. Sammy G gets the odd man rush. Is that kind of exactly what you mean there?
No, I like the fact that he shot it from there, no question. We passed up some shots on the rush. It's more ozone play, you know. Like we have some decent time in ozone in the first period, but we didn't really do anything with it, you know. And then the second period, it just felt like the pace of what we were trying to do was there. We start getting better looks, better shots. Kind of starts with our defense shooting the puck and crashing the net, and then we get some pucks back, and then other things open up for our team. But I always find when we win a battle and shoot the puck early in an ozone shift that it leads to 2 or 3 or 4 more shots, or at least attempts, and sometimes we'll go in there and we just won't shoot it. So, you know, that's been kind of the MO of our team, and I think we did a nice job in the second period ramping up that shot rate.
You liked how all 4 lines played last game. Did you feel you got the same kind of?
Yeah, with the exception of the first, I thought everyone was, and we weren't far off in the first. Like we did a nice job checking and being safe. It's just like too safe, too vanilla for me. You know, I'd rather that than it be giving up a bunch of scoring chances. You know, at least they were responsible with their positioning and what their jobs and tasks were on the defensive side of things.
Jonathan Druin plays his 100th game as an Av. How have you found something special in this player and the growth that he's shown over those 100 games?
Yeah, I think we have. You know, I think it's number one. I think we're a great fit and a great opportunity for him. You know, to keep growing his career. I think it's, you know, he's a great fit for us. He is. He thinks the game like an offensive guy, can play with key players. He's improved the checking side of his game immensely over the time that he's been here. This year it's a little hard to judge because he's been in and out so much, but now he's finally feeling healthy and starting to play. He's starting to put up numbers and really helping that second line. So I think we found a player that helps us. I think we help him, makes it a good fit for our organization and hopefully for him as well.
Last few. Do you have an update on Wedgwood?
He's day-to-day, upper body. Yep. So he'll be on the trip.
Good.
Yep. Thanks. Yep.
So there you go. Bednar, pretty straightforward. Didn't love the first period, but the Avs took care of business and did what they had to do. Again, it feels like the Avs are playing the way they were always supposed to over these last couple of games. You could even go back some of those losses. It felt like they played well. They didn't get the result, like Justin said. How confident should the Avs be in themselves right now? Because we've talked about it at times this year. It feels like maybe they've gotten a little too overconfident in their ability to do things like come back. But still, confidence matters. It helps you play well.
Confidence matters and swag matters, and I think they do have swag when things are working for them, when they're connecting, when they're scoring. But I do believe when they're not scoring, when they're going 20, 40 minutes without a goal, like I do believe that. Just go back to what Bednar just said when he talked about the first period. They were just out there playing hockey, and you could tell he was disappointed. You know what I mean? Because in playoff hockey, and this is supposed to be playoff hockey, you can't just play. It can't. You can't just play. You got to bring that passion. You got to bring that snarl, that attitude, and then you got to be on top of your game. You can't wait because all of a sudden you're one puck going off a skate and in your net to chasing the game for no reason. You know what I mean? Where all of a sudden it's on you. So yeah, I think they're confident. I think they're confident in their ability. The only thing I'm negative on is when they don't have it. I'd like to see a little bit of momentum shifts. You know what I mean? Like from your thirds, fourth line. You know what I mean? And again, it's not about fighting. I'm talking about a little bit of energy, a little bit of swag, a little bit of let's go. And like Bednar said, you can't just play hockey. You got to get out there and have a purpose and have some sort of, passion and purpose. So I would say they should feel confident because they are a good team, but then mix that in there at times when things aren't going, and then you're going to see more complete games and then never look back.
I'm down for that. I'm down for going forward. Looking forward for the Avs. They do have Vancouver coming up, and I'd be lying to you if I didn't say that wasn't a big game. Vancouver, essentially the team trying to chase down Calgary and the Avalanche currently in the wild card spots. You get essentially treat it like a 4-point game. I know they're not in division, but the Avs should essentially treat that like a 4-point game. They're kind of in a whirlwind of a moment too with the trades they've made. So it should be one that the Avs are focused on and ready to go on Tuesday night.
Absolutely. And, I always say middle of the winter like this, you got the dog days of February. It's kind of nice, and you know that you're having a break for the most of the guys. We all know the other guys are going to live something differently, obviously in Montreal and Boston with the Four Nations, but you have 3 and 4 where you just got to put your head down and go to work as a team and always feel good. It's always nice to go to Western Canada, like in the middle of hockey season like this. So now they're hitting Vancouver, which is, like you said, it's a playoff type atmosphere game because of the standings. Then you're hitting Calgary, that's right there, and that's surprising everybody. Again, Dustin Wolf, I'm not surprised. He is showing everybody what he's made of. And then you got Edmonton.
Yeah, do your victory lap. It's fine.
That's right. That's right. I was a year too early. With last year, but this kid's amazing. This kid's unbelievable. Anyway, with that said, and then you got Edmonton, on, McDavid versus McKinnon, and then they're going to be teammates when the puck drops. I'm not sure about Edmonton's schedule, but I don't know if that's the last game on the schedule, for the league that day. I don't even know.
It might be, yeah.
And then when the puck drops, they're all teammates. You know what I mean? Like from McDavid to McKinnon, and it's kind of cool. You know what I mean? So but I'm looking forward to it. Dog Day is a winner. February, you go to Western Canada on that trip, 3 and 4, and then everybody gets a break. So it's easy to bear down right now. Don't be thinking about anything else except those 3 games that are very valuable point-wise for the Avalanche in the standings.
That big break coming up, but after it, we are doing a takeover of Ball Arena on February 28th. The Avs are taking on the Minnesota Wild. We're taking over a suite. You can come join us. Go to the events tab at thednvr.com to get your tickets. It's going to be a great time. We're going to have a blast there. You get a bus to and from the bar to the arena where you get free beers. All of it is super cool. We're going to have some pretty cool guests in that suite too that you're going to want to meet. So be sure to become a part of that and do that with us here at DNVR. I'm really looking forward to it. As far as the Avs are concerned, though, look, this team is positioned well still. I think at times you can say they fumbled some opportunities this year, but guess what? Minnesota got blown out 6-0 the other night. That third spot in the Central is still very much for the taking for them. They are very much in the mix. There's a universe where they chase down Dallas, especially, I mean, Dallas is now having some injury problems of their own. They're not going to catch Winnipeg. That's not going to happen. But
yeah, and Minnesota's going through some, obviously Kaprizov, being out for a while now. That's a big blow. And then they got Hartman that's going in for a hearing, in-person hearing. So you're talking about 5+ for his play on that face-off. It is what it is. Their goaltending in Minnesota, besides, the Flower has been good, but he hasn't played the majority of the game. Gustafson's had a hard time. So you're looking at that, and you're right. Maybe Winnipeg's too far out, but certainly Minnesota it should be your reach. It should be something that in Dallas that you're chasing. And I see Yanni Gord on the chat there. Just so you know, he's out 5-7 weeks. He's got a sports hernia, so he is out 5 to 7 weeks. That might hinder some teams to go get him. Who knows? Again, you just never know. 5-7 weeks. I mean, that's the whole month of February is 4 weeks, and then trade deadline. So you never know. He could be right there, right after trade deadline. You just don't know how you respond to it.
They wrote 5 to 7 weeks instead of 6 weeks because 5 weeks is the deadline. That's
my point. Again, maybe a team's going to pull the trigger. I don't know. And again, you get to see if you want the medical records, see how the guy is, and when you're making a trade and the guy's not. And I'm not saying the Avs are trading for him. I'm saying that's one of the names that we've always talked about and everybody talks about. So I just wanted to bring that up to life there, that he is hurt right now, and then go from there.
Yep. We are going to wrap up today's show. We will be back tomorrow. Maybe we'll talk more about that Hartman thing. Also, if you watched our pregame, we have an extra part with Charlie O'Connor who talked about some of the stuff going on in the East with those trades. So be sure to tune in tomorrow. We'll either be live early or it'll be a pre-recorded show, though. I'm not 100% sure what we'll do, but either way, the show will still be there tomorrow. So be sure to tune in then. Yeah, give us a like, subscribe here on YouTube. Go follow us on socials. We appreciate y'all a ton. That's it for this one. This has been the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by Bet365.
We all silly like the mayor.